Mr. President, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's an absolute honor. I've been in this business a long time. This is the biggest interview I've gotten, and I thank you so much for making it you.
Well, you're good friends with Eric, my boy, and Don also, and I really appreciate it.
The first question I've got to ask is the question my listeners all want to know. Do you really do all those tweets?
I do most of them. The good ones I do.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's interesting. I call it social media. I don't even call it tweet too much, but it's a great form of communication. The press is so dishonest and so fake, and it's the only way I really can get the communication out there. Local is great. You're great. I mean, I have so many wonderful people, but if you look at CNN, which is absolutely fake, if you look at, they make up stories. If you look at ABC and CBS and NBC is terrible. You know, with all the money I made NBC with The Apprentice, they are absolutely terrible. Yeah. And so it's a great form of communicating. I get the word out. If they do a false story, I can at least write about it, and people can see the other side.
As you know, my mother's from Jamaica, Queens. So are you.
Good.
You're
That's
a fighter.
True.
She's a fighter. I'm a fighter.
Right.
Is that really what it's about? When you give it back, when somebody hits you, when you hit back, is that really what it's about? I'm not going to let you get the better of me and lie about me?
Well, a little bit. It's also this. When I won, I really thought that one of the good things that would come out of it would be the media would be fair.
Right.
And it turned out that they got worse. They're actually worse. And so it's just one of those things, Joe. But look, as far as I'm concerned, there's tremendous people in your industry, including you.
Yeah, thanks.
But there are a lot of I find the smaller markets and the mid-markets, I get really properly treated.
Right.
But from the networks and CNN, and I find Fox is very, very fair.
Yeah.
They're very professional and they're very fair. But I don't find that with the other networks.
We're always going to be fair. We're up to just about 100 stations now, 15 of which are in Michigan.
Right.
At last we spoke, you were flying back and forth to Michigan constantly because it was close.
Right.
You pulled Michigan off, first guy since Reagan. You almost got Minnesota. Reagan couldn't even get Minnesota.
I was so
Those
close.
Those people are all listening right now.
I love
they
Minnesota.
wonder, in the year that you've been in, 10 months you've been in, how much do you keep Middle America that really won this for you in mind when things like the tax cuts happen?
Yeah, totally. That's what we're doing right now with the tax cuts. And when you mentioned Minnesota, you're right. It was so close. And they have been treated horribly with immigration. Somalia and all of the things that have happened in Minnesota. The people of Minnesota can't even believe it's happening to them. And they have been treated terribly. And I almost won Minnesota, and I'll win it the next time.
Yeah.
Michigan has been fantastic. You know, we have plants opening.
That was a surprise. So was Wisconsin.
Well,
but
not
maybe not
so
to you.
much to us. We went there. I went there the last night, and I got there at 1 in the morning, and we had 32,000 people. And I looked at my people, and I said to Ronna, Ronna McDaniel, who is fantastic, now the head of the RNC.
Right.
I said, so why are we going to lose Michigan with all these people? And Hillary was there just a little bit before us in a much better time, because I was there literally. I started speaking at about 1 o'clock in the morning, which is now election day.
Right.
And she was there. She had a very, very small crowd. So I said, why are we going to lose Michigan? Now, since this happened, we're expanding plants in Michigan.
Yeah.
Car companies are moving back into Michigan and Ohio and other places. You look at what's going on in Minnesota, it's so sad. And I think we're going to win it the next time. I think we're going to do even better in Michigan. But we have a lot of industry coming back into our country.
Is it because of the tax of the corporate rate from 35 down to 20? Will that immediately, in your opinion, make these companies close up shop there and bring them right back to Detroit?
Well,
bring
it's
them right
one
back
of
to
the
parts
things.
of Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Yeah, you probably saw. I had a news conference today. One of the Fortune 100 companies, think of that, one of the biggest companies, Fortune 100 in the world, as you know, is coming. Broadcom is coming back into the United States. They're going to locate in the United States. That's a big announcement, psychologically especially, but that's a big announcement. So we have a Fortune 100 company coming back into the United States, which is very exciting. But we have a lot of plants going up now. We have automobile plants. We have companies moving back in. And the tax cuts, which are the biggest in the history of our country, will have a huge impact on that too, and a huge impact on employment, jobs, and wages.
Those on the left, and even some on the right, who are from California, from New York, the higher tax states, will say, yeah, but this is double taxing our people. I mean, my response is, not important, we'll get yours, but my response is don't tax them so much to begin with. Is that sort of what the hit back has to be when they say that you're doubling taxes on people with big mortgages?
Yeah, but what I'm really doing is cutting taxes for the middle class. We're cutting them way down, Joe, in the middle class, and we're also cutting them for business. Business is 35 down to 20. And the problem was businesses were leaving our country. When you look at all the business, look at all the car companies that left and they went to Mexico.
Yeah.
Businesses were leaving our country. Now they're staying, and now they're actually starting to come back. So this tax cut, which has become very popular, and it's going to be very hard to fight. You know, one of my least favorite newspapers today came out with Pinocchios on Schumer, because Schumer said, "Oh, it's for the rich, it's for the rich," which is a standard chant.
I know which paper it is. I won't give him any credit
Okay,
either.
but they gave him 4 Pinocchios because he said it's for the rich, and they said it's really not. It's for jobs, and it's for the middle class, and it's really doing well.
All right, I've got to talk a little bit about terrorism. You were way ahead of this diversity visa lottery.
It's true.
I guess we didn't have enough people, Mr. President, from Uzbekistan in the country. Who comes up with a plan like that? Why is it in place? And I know that you wanted it gone before this attack happened. It happened a couple of blocks away from the ground zero. Can you get rid of it through executive order? Does it have to be through the Senate, through the House? Does it have to be a legislative move? What has to happen?
We're going to get rid of it very quickly. It's going to go through, has to go through Congress. I must tell you, this was a Schumer concept and idea. He was in when he was a congressman, and Chuck Schumer was promoting it. And it was no good then. Common sense.
Right.
Number one, they probably don't even do a lottery. They probably just give you their worst.
Right.
Okay. They probably do it. You know, who says it's a lottery? Who's out there checking to see it's a lottery? So they probably take their worst and they give you their worst.
Yeah.
Because that's the way, unfortunately, a lot of the system works. But who would think that that was good to start off with? Anyway, the animal that did the recent West Side killings, 8 people, and people don't even say, but the people that were so badly hurt. I mean, these people were horribly injured and hurt, but all of these people, they suffered because of this animal that we allowed to come in on a draw based on a lottery.
Like you go buy a lottery ticket. It doesn't make sense to anybody.
It's horrible, and we're going to be ending it very quickly.
Can you make it go away through executive action? Does it
Well,
have to
we're
go
looking at that.
legislative?
Actually, we looked at it today. I'm having an answer tomorrow. If I can sign it away and then still go through Congress, because we want to make it permanent, we will be doing that, Joe.
Quickly on Obamacare, you took executive action. I interviewed Rand Paul. He I know was conferring with you about this.
That's true.
Really great move to make that cross-state bargaining. Plus, there are other things that can be done too. Are you still looking at what power you have in the executive, or do you still have to go through the legislative? Because now that we passed September 30th, as you know, it's got to be a brand new bill with 60 votes.
Well, we're focused absolutely on tax cuts, and as soon as the tax cuts, we will get the health care done, and we'll get it done properly. We want to get rid of the individual mandate, which is a disaster in Obama. These are people that have to pay not to take this horrible insurance. I mean, these are people that are paying money to do something they don't want to do. It's probably unheard of. I assume it's been tested legally, but it's unheard of. So we're going to be getting rid of the individual mandate, but we're going to be repealing Obamacare. We will be replacing Obama. You know, we had the votes until we were surprised late in the morning. We were very sadly surprised by one person, and that's okay, because we're going to have a very, very good health care situation. We will be repealing and replacing. I think, you know, there's a lot of people that want to put the individual mandate repeal. They want to do that, and they want to put it right into the tax package, and that could happen, and it probably will happen.
When I got here yesterday, Senator Ted Cruz said, "Welcome to the swamp." When you were running for president, that drain the swamp came up. You didn't even love the phrase, really, but now that you've been here a year, is it a swamp? And were you surprised to find that a lot of the swamp monsters were on the right?
Yeah, it's a swamp. Well, it's
in your own party.
It's you got a lot of people. It's a tricky place.
Yeah.
It's a tricky place. You know that from doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
But we're getting it through. We've had tremendous success in 10 months, what we've done with cutting regulations, with getting legislation passed. I'm talking about approved by the Senate and the House. A lot of people don't know we're up to 70 bills. That's a lot.
Rarely reported, by the way.
It's never reported.
Yeah.
They, if I watch these dishonest people on CNN and these others, and they talk about like we haven't passed anything, and we've passed, I think it's a record number or close to a record for the amount of time I've been in. And Harry Truman maybe had it, but I hear we overtook him. I mean, think of that. And yet they report like we haven't done anything, and it's really disgraceful. It really is very sad. But I will say this. Whether it's that or all of the executive orders to get rid of all of this regulation, and that's what's having a big impact on the market. So the market's been up. I think we've hit about 60 times now where we've created records in the history of the stock. This is in the history of the stock market. Approved the pipelines, the Keystone Pipeline, Dakota Access Pipeline. That was 42,000 jobs. I mean, we've done a lot, and of course we've gotten a great Supreme Court judge, not just nominated, but in.
I'm so proud of the guy that I wanted one last thing. Houston Astros won last night.
Oh, congratulations.
For that city that got demolished by Harvey.
Great city.
What message do you have for them?
Well, they're great people. I got to know them very well during the hurricane horror show that we went through. It just kept going out into the Gulf, reloading and coming back 3 times. These are great people, tremendous stamina, tremendous will. And they probably deserved it just about more than anybody.
It
when
almost
you
felt
look.
like fate, didn't it?
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful thing to see.
Mr. President, I can't thank you enough for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe.
All right.
I appreciate your
it.
support. You have been fantastic. Thank you, Joe.